This is a video about sniping positions. This is actually a spotting position. You notice that I am spotting from the side, and the reason why I chose this is because the enemy's not going to fire over here. They're going to fire towards the center. It looks like maybe someone did, I'm not sure. Yeah, you see someone's fired at the ELC. This is an ambush position. What you do is you rush out to this position and you shoot at the tanks as they cross. With a light tank, you still kind of would do it because you can see my allies haven't pulled into a position. So I rush out over here and I shoot at them and then I run away. And if you have a derp gun or an autoloader, it works great. But I do it with almost every tank because you got to practice. You got to try the different positions. If you don't do it, how are you going to learn? And this is just showing a sniping position where I am down below and I look for different positions. There's a road that comes through the town. You want to be on the east side of the road so you don't get proximity spotted. But I'm just showing an example of one of the positions that I'm using because I wanted to see if I could get better shots. If you watch my videos, I'm pointing at the mini map, the area where I usually park, but you don't have the ability to spot off in the back and you can't always snipe way in the back. So I'm checking over here to see if it's a better position. There's obviously better positions like right over here in these bushes, but it's a much higher risk. Here's an example where I moved forward and you can see I'm doing all this spotting damage on all these tanks up here. What I'm showing here is that this tank, he's actually pushing this dead tank as he's advancing through this opening. This is a view where I'm going out to battle and I'm looking across the bridge shooting at the T-57 Heavy. You can see I hit an FV-4005. I'm pointing at him on the minimap. So from here, you can see through that gap. This is the bridge over here, and you can see to the other side of the bridge. Now that T-57 Heavy, I believe he's, oh, here he is. You see it says T-57 Heavy. So he's a little bit behind the building, but I would be able to hit him if he crosses into that gap. There's an example where I moved a little bit and I was able to hit that T-57 Heavy. Look at where he is and he can't spot me back. So if you've got that type of a tank, this is a place you might want to park and snipe. This is an SPG position. A lot of SPGs, they park in this area so that they can shoot over here. And then I realized, look at that, I can shoot over here where the medium tanks like to play. I didn't know I could do that until that video. This is showing popular sniping position. I never play up here. I probably did it. You see, I've got 366 millisecond ping time. So I was sitting in the back more, or maybe I was just passing through. But that's the view of what it looks like. You can see where the enemy tanks are in this case. I repositioned. You see that now, look at the difference between these two positions. And the reason why is because I moved to here. And he's at the edge of my spotting range. Look at where I am. So you don't have to go where the Ferdinand is. If you control the south, head out to this position. And if the enemy starts advancing, then go where the Ferdinand is. So this should be your goal. If you're on the West team, your goal should be to start sniping from over here. You can see I do 542 damage on the T-32. And look at that. Look at where the ISM is. And I can hit all the way in the back here. And there's some hull down positions. If you want to be hull down over here, you could pull it off. This looks like a spotting position. This is an ambush position. I park here all the time. Sometimes I see other players. You do have to be careful. There's lots of ways to do it. The closer you are to the enemy, the more you're going to spot. There's a train over here. You could park at the train. You're going to spot less. If you go to these, you want to knock this tree down, you could get spotted by the tanks on the other side and they can shoot at you. And if you want to be on the right side, not the left, the mistake that the enemies make is they get on the left. The reason why is because if you're on the right and they drive by, they're more likely to just keep on going. And if you're on the right and they drive by, they're less likely to turn their guns around because they got to turn the guns all the way around. If you're on this side, you have to run. If you shoot at them, they're going to stop and shoot back. It'll be too convenient for them. I do it with the presumption that I'm going to keep shooting at them again and again and again until they've all passed through. You do have to be careful. Enemy tanks, you see where I'm pointing on the minimap? Enemy tanks like Waffenträgers like to go to that position, and they will shoot back at you through the train tracks, or maybe it's around this position. I have gotten return fire from unspotted tanks back there. This is just showing how I knocked this tree down, and it looks like you wouldn't be able to hit that EBR, but I was able to hit him from this position. I didn't have the time to go up where the UDAS is, and I wanted to hit that EBR to help out my ally. This is a spotting position that shows I'm on the north team, that you can spot the road, you can spot who's crossing over here. You can see I got spotting damage on the ISM, but you can also spot this gap over here. So if you can make it to this position, give it a shot. It's probably going to work out well in lower tiers, because in lower tiers people tend to only go to these positions. But you got to be careful, because in higher tiers, people often head this way. The EBRs, the wheeled vehicles, will do spotting runs through here, and they are more likely to do passive spotting over here. This is, I believe, what I'm doing. Look at where the King Tiger is. Okay, people come up and they get hull down on this mid ridge, and they hit the tanks. Look at where the King Tiger is. What the problem is that when you're hull down, enemy tanks like the Scorpion are going to shoot back at you. So there's this giant rock. What I do is I pull up right here where this rock is. They're passing by. Most of them are just going to keep on going. You keep firing at them. You're probably not going to be able to self-spot them unless they come a little bit closer to you. You'll be able to get some of them. And the enemy Scorpion cannot snipe me. So that's why you want to know this position. This is just showing how I got congratulations. You received 0 tokens. In this area, there's this little opening over here, and there's this little place you can go and you can hide over here. So if you're playing on Minsk and you want to hide from the enemy, don't forget this position. This is just showing how I went to this little doorway, and you can shoot the Conqueror. Look at where I am and look at where he is on the mini-map. And I can hit the T-95, which is right there. And I can hit enemy tanks that are over here. You will find like Jagdpanzer or E-100s will show up in this area. Here's an example where he is advancing along this road. If he crosses this line, I'll be able to hit him. I've been trying different positions. I kind of like this position. I'm trying to find the best place to hit the medium tanks and the heavy tanks. This is one of the possibilities. I'll try more. This is what? Don't know. This looks like a spotting position. If you want to get coverage, you want to be a little bit elevated. I'm just showing the spotting. This is SPG. Look at where I am. SPG players often park where the FT is. From here, you can hit through this gap, and there's often enemy tanks right over here. So this is a position you're going to want to know. If you see a cluster of tanks over here, you can come and fire, especially if they're over here and they're trying to retreat. This used to be one of the most popular positions in the game. Tanks would come over here and snipe onto the hill, but then they changed it so you can't do it anymore. This is just to show, look at where I am in the south of the map. I notice that there's this nice house and these stairs going up here. This is a spotting bush. You see that I did get spotted, but look at where I am on the minimap. You can park over here. You got a couple options, and you can spot the tanks on the ridge. You don't have to go and do active spotting. You can just do it from here. And you might even get a little bit of better coverage from here. You might even spot tanks that are back here, because I know that there's like a slope over here. I believe, okay, what this is showing is this gap right over here. Check it out. You can hit those tanks. Look at where I'm pointing on the mini map. You can hit all those enemy tanks that are going to show up over there. And this is another position shooting through the center. That's what it looks like. My experience is that if you take up this position, the enemy will be afraid to cross through here. I've had enemy tanks pinned down. They were unable to move. They were afraid to come out. This is obviously a spotting position. Let's see, why am I here? Panzer 1C. It's possible that the reason why I'm here is because I know you can hit tanks way up here on this slope from this position. It's possible that that's the reason why I came out here, but I didn't get a good screenshot. So this is me trying the Super Hellcat, or no, the M10 RBFM. You can see that you got clear shots through that little gap, and you can shoot under that bridge. It's the same exact position. And enemy tanks, they'll sit on the other side of that bridge, and they'll be the tunnel, and they'll be afraid to come through, but they'll literally sit right there. So this is a position you might want to consider. Here's an example where you see that there's a T1 heavy over there, and I can hit him. Okay, this is an awesome position. You see that where the Waffenträger is? I never play up there. You come down here instead and look at what you got. You got shots all the way through. I don't know if I can see that object 277. I don't know if I blind fired through here, but that's the position. You sit over here and you got clear shots through that open area. And I only have to reposition a little bit. I moved just a meter, and you can see that I can help my allies in the southwest. Here's an example. It's pretty much the same position. You can see this is where these tanks were afraid to advance. There's a mouse over here. They just kept, they'd come out, I'd hit them, and they'd go back. I don't think I hit them enough times that they didn't want to come out anymore. So there have been changes to this map. Normally what people do is they come down these buildings and they shoot in the gaps between the buildings, but you don't have to do it. You can come between the rail lines, and they lowered the rail cars, and you can shoot over the rail cars and be hauled down. So that's a sniping position that you can use on this map. You're on the north team. You can prevent enemy tanks from coming out through this gap. Let's see if I got another view. Now, in this example, you can see I went even further south, and I'm shooting at a T-34, which I believe is right here. You can see there's a T-34. I'm pointing on the mini-map. He's right over here, and I hit him, and I hit the T-10, which is right here. So now there's another hull-down position where you can shoot at all these tanks over here. So if you're playing on the north team, good luck. The other thing is, there's a way that you can sit, perhaps it's over here, and you can snipe through the rail lines diagonally at the tanks in the north. I saw a player do it. What this is, everybody knows that there's a main road that comes through highway, goes through the town, and you can hit the tanks as they cross over. I'm on the outside of the town, and I'm looking to see if there's a gap where I can hit the tanks. You can hit some of the tanks, but I'm not sure yet which ones. Perhaps you can hit them through this little opening if they go into this little area. They think it's safe, but it's not. And you can self-spot them. What happened here is the enemy SPG drove over the side of the cliff, and he drowned. And this is just a case where I'm showing that this is some place where you can run and hide. He was hiding over here, and when I got close enough to him, then he went over the cliff and drowned. This is showing a position which no one ever uses, and I'm just showing how you can hit onto the cap from this position. This is a position that I use sometimes. I park in these bushes. to see if I can snipe at anyone coming through this gap. But the problem is you can't spot tanks going through the gap. It kind of works if on encounter mode, if they're trying to reset cap, or if there's somebody that's trying to cap. This is a position you can play. It's a low success position. You will get some success if you've got a spotter. Works out great. But you know what? I've been playing the game lots of times. People come over here and they just don't spot. They just kind of sit on their side of the hill. You know, they just don't know how to play it. It takes time. But it's showing you've got clear views. Obviously, we haven't spotted the enemy team yet, but you can see I've got some clear views of their base. Okay, we're back to the beginning. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.